Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, once again, we are on. That is the great Mike Steph. I am the Mojo King, and this is Hidden Gems Football. Season 3. We're doing it thrice. Not twice, thrice. This week, we're shaking off a little rust here and starting talking about the NFC West. Mike Steph, I hope you've had a good break, and I hope you're ready with Mike Steph's One Big Thing, because that's already on the bottom. I didn't even put Hidden Gems Football there.
Of course, I'm ready for my One Big Thing. But first and foremost, I'd like to thank each and every one of y'all for making Hidden Gems Football actuality for us to be into season 3, to make us your go-to place for NFL opinions, NFL information, and NFL shenanigans, if you will. But my one big thing, of course, I would start with the San Francisco 49ers. And I know probably long-time listeners and viewers of Hidden Gem Football probably like, did you not start last year with the San Francisco 49ers? And yeah, that would be correct. But why would I not start with the king of the division? To me, San Francisco, the 49ers will always be the bridesmaid, never the bride, under the leadership, under the stewardship of Kyle Shanahan. Coming off yet another Super Bowl loss, it seems like for some reason they just cannot get over the hump. Both times, both losses, both times they had an opportunity to win, taken away by a combination of greatness of Patrick Mahomes and questionable coaching decisions by Kyle Shanahan. A couple years ago, he had a chance. They was up 10 in the fourth quarter. Couldn't close the deal. Last year, a little miscommunication or misunderstanding of the overtime rules cost them the opportunity to put the nail in the coffin of the Kansas City Chiefs. Never mind the fact that they coughed up a lead yet again. Now, it makes you wonder if this window that is still wide as it is it shrinking just a little bit? Like, not due to any loss of talent per se, but maybe, just maybe, the mental strain of coming so close these last couple of years and not being able to get over the hump will take a toll. It's human nature for those players to start doubting the path. But will ownership be itching to make a change if they come up tantalizingly short again? And that, my friends, is the big question. And that, my friends, is one big thing. Yeah. Wait a second. I'm back.
I'm actually glad that you started out talking about how this seemed familiar as last year, because I almost forgot to mention last year, our NFC West predictions, as far as win totals, was exquisite. 7 of 8 right. That's four teams, both of us making choices. 7 of 8. We're not going to worry about the one that got wrong. And you know what happened there. But, almost perfection.
Yeah, I see you leading up to something.
Nah, I'm just saying. All right. Let's start off with the Arizona Cardinals.
At least you're not starting the season up on a bad foot. You know, I know you're gonna save the little twist of the knives probably later on in our previews, especially during the season, because you know there's one reoccurring theme that's gonna happen this season. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But go ahead. Yeah. Start with the Arizona Cardinals, because let's get them out the way.
All right, the Arizona Cardinals are back. And hopefully not to the same record as last year, because they were 4-13 last year and 4-13 the year before. But this team seems to be on the rise. Coached by Jonathan Gannon. This is his second year coaching. They were ranked 24th as far as scoring on offense and tied for dead last as far as scoring on defense. A lot of the team is coming back on the offensive end as far as the star position players, but they are now led by full season of Kyler Murray, fully recovered from his torn ACL. Last year, he played in only 8 games. At running back, we have James Conner, 29-year-old, who was often injured, but not last year. And he had his first 1,000-yard season, which I found stunning. I always thought he had passed that before, but apparently not. At the wide receiver, real quick, Trey Benson, the 3rd-round draft pick, is the heir apparent to James Conner as far as running backs. Now, shifting over to wide receiver, the number 4 pick in the draft was Marvin Harrison Jr. He was the first position player drafted after the 3 quarterbacks. And he is drawing comparisons to Larry Fitzgerald and Julio Jones. They're expecting a superstar here.
Hopefully he scores more than Julio Jones.
This is the Cardinals. This is the Cardinals we're talking about.
But yeah, I'm just saying, Just saying.
All right.
Yeah, that was a shot for low fat.
You look at that. You got low fat and Tyler at the same time. That's a double shot.
Yeah.
On the other side will be 2nd year Michael Wilson. He's been a high injury risk, but a talented player. And Arizona signed Zay Jones. Of course, Marquise Hollywood Brown is out. But maybe their real true number 2 receiver is at tight end, Trey McBride, who caught 81 passes and had 825 yards last year. And remember, he didn't start the season as the starter. Zach Ertz did. All right, Mike Steph. But what do you think about this Cardinals team?
Not much. I don't say that really with any type of shade, because you mentioned that they were 4-13 the past 2 seasons, but their 4-13 seasons were dramatically different to me. The first 4-13 season had a lot to do with just bad team dynamics, bad coaching, bad attitude, and of course the injury to Kyler Murray toward the latter part of that season. They were a team going nowhere. Last year, that 4-13, even though on paper it looks like it's the same old ragtag bunch, was dramatically different. They actually made an asset of Josh Dobbs at the very beginning, that they was able to trade him to a supposed playoff contender. They actually bought into the culture of head coach Gannon that he's instilled and brought over from the Philadelphia Eagles coming off their Super Bowl appearance. And that 4-13 was a team that, especially at the very beginning, they held tight, they held tough, and then they would falter at the end. And then when Kyler Murray did make his return, as you mentioned, they were 3-5. Were they a winning team? No, but they were a much more competitive team. People fail to realize, or people forget, that early in the season last year, they gave Dallas a loss. But like you said, with the additions from injury of Kyler Murray and the offensive firepower that they attained through the draft, and Zay Jones, but like literally really through the draft, I feel that they would be a much more competitive team consistently. So 4-13, yeah, it looks different, but it was dramatically. It looks the same, but it was dramatically different. So I feel like Arizona will have a stepping stone year. One last thing, they have to really decide what they're going to do with Kyler Murray. Try to trade him while he has some type of value. I don't know who's going to take that enormous contract, but who knows? Injuries happen. Somebody might need him at the deadline. They're not going to be in playoff contention. Like, I literally was reading playoff, NFL previews, division previews, and guess what? A lot of them, when it came to the NFC East, you would have always thought there was 3 teams in the NFC East. So, NFC West. So, yeah, there's not much to say about Arizona. Like, they'll be competitive, but they won't be a threat to anybody.
All right. Well, that leads right into the question. 7.5 wins is what covers.com has as a projected over-under. Do you think they're going over 7.5 or under 7.5?
I will say under, because I can't see them being an 8-9 team. especially in the division that they're in. They'd be lucky to get 2 wins out the division, if that. So where they're getting the other 6. So I probably would say under. I could see them improving on last year's total just for the fact they have Kyler Murray, hopefully for the duration of the year. So their offense should be markedly improved to compensate for their weak defense. So I could see them, let's say 6-11. So I'll go under.
To me, this team made some interesting signings on defense that should help them a little bit. But for the most part, they're holding the course and seeing what gels out of this squad with Kyler Murray healthy and now potentially a superstar number 1 wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr. I was really disappointed that this was at 7.5 as far as the over-under, because I really see this team winning 7 or 8 games. After back-to-back years of 4-13, 7 wins, 10 losses would actually seem like a win. I'm going under here only because a team that we are going to talk about later, I strongly wanted to go under, and I think they're going to end up going over. So I had to flip-flop a little bit. I'm going Arizona. I'm going with you. I'm going under.
This could be some tears in Glendale. So one of our colleagues in Glendale is going to have some tears to go along with his baseball failure. But I digress.
Real quick, as far as fantasy, I mentioned earlier, Trey McBride looks like the truth. Tight end is a lot deeper than it's been over the past years with a couple of guys, Kincaid, Laporta. McBride might fit in there and end up being a top 5 tight end by the time the season's over. All right. Up next, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Last year, they were 9-8. Oddly enough, in 2022, they were also 9-8. They're coached by first-year coach Mike Macdonald. He takes over for Pete Carroll. Mike Macdonald was the Baltimore defense coordinator prior to this. Offensive coordinator is Ryan Grubb from the University of Washington. Last year, this team, as far as scoring, was offensively was 17th. As far as points given up, were 24th. They are led by quarterback Geno Smith. Interestingly enough, Sam Howell, formerly Washington starter, is now the backup there. At running back is a 2-headed monster led by Kenneth Walker and then Zach Charbonnet, now in his 2nd year. At wide receiver, this is their strength. They have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, who's getting a little bit older, 32, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was a highly touted rookie and had an okay season. And then at tight end is Noah Fant. All right, that's the skilled positions. Mike Steph, what do you think about this whole team in general?
The Seahawks, led by Geno Smith, but are they really led by Geno Smith? As you said, the last 2 seasons they were 9-8, but those two 9-8 seasons were dramatically different. Last year, I believe that at one point they were like 5-2, and then they went into Baltimore and got smoked. And they would tell you the truth, it's never the same again. They missed the playoffs, but never mind that. The big story when it comes to the Seattle Seahawks is their new coach for the first time in over a decade. And that is Mike Macdonald, as you said, the former defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens at the tender age of 36. Is he a boy wonder? Look at it this way. Last year, he coached a squad that became the first defense in history to lead the league in both points against, 16.5 a game, lead the league in sacks with 60, and lead the league in takeaways, 31. Only defense ever. I mean, did it get them to the big game? No, but it got him this gig. So evidently he was doing something. I mean, personally, he can only go up dealing with this unit that he inherits because they were 30th in total defense last year. Like on offense, you said they got the weapons to remain competitive. You got DK Metcalf coming off his, I think, his 2nd or 3rd consecutive All-Pro or Pro Bowl appearance. More probably Pro Bowl. I don't know. DK Metcalf, he's a hype, but is he really an All-Pro? I don't know. I'll let you be the judge. Tyler Lockett always remains clutch, even though he's starting to get up there in years. And like you said, Kenneth Walker is a beast. Geno Smith, yeah, my friend, my beloved Geno Smith, to me took a slight step back last year. But I'll shoot him some bail with this. But that was probably due to the porous offensive line that he had in front of him and that had him under constant pressure. Year before, had a better offensive line, hence better results. Last year, not so much. So Seattle, I could see them being in the hunt. In reality, it all depends on either A, how they respond to new leadership, to a new voice in the locker room, and B, how that new voice improves the once dominant Seattle defense. If they improve on defense, and let's say they even remain the same or have a tick better on offense, I could truthfully see them getting into at least the last. I mean, it's not like the NFC is like a powerhouse, but I could see them getting that last wild card spot. So yeah, I think things are kind of looking up. But you have to keep Geno Smith healthy. You gotta keep him upright because, like you said, you got Sam Howell. There's a reason why the Washington Commanders got rid of Sam Howell. He couldn't even be a backup for the Washington Commanders. So do you really trust him starting any games for you or prolonged start? I don't think so.
Well, I think you might have answered the question already. Covers.com kind of stunned me on this one. They have their projected win total at 7.5, just like the Cardinals.
Okay.
So are you going over or under 7.5 wins?
I'm going over because they were 9-8 last year. Why can't they get at least 8 games this year? So yeah, I'll go over.
Yeah, I'm with you. This looks like a pretty simple over. Obviously, as you mentioned, is unpredictable because of the coaching change, what exactly happens there. But like you mentioned, they can't get much worse on defense than they were last year. And their offensive line, which wasn't high quality, but was also injured a lot. And I think Geno might have been playing a little bit banged up because he got hit so much. So if they could keep Geno pretty healthy, or put my boy Sam Howell in, I'm kidding about that. I think Sam Howell will make a fine backup, but he needs to be a backup. But I think as long as Geno gets a little bit of time to throw the ball and the defense, like you mentioned, improves a little bit, I was really stunned that this is 7.5. I think they're in line for another 9-8 season, so that would give me a whole game leeway. I think this is one that I might go bet pretty quick. Real quick, as far as fantasy, the real key here is Jackson Smith-Njigba. Is he going to get a little bit more run now? Are they going to pull back on Tyler Lockett just a little bit as he enters his 32 season? Although Lockett has been so reliable through all these seasons. But that's the angle I'm looking at this year.
I think this to be more like a show it season, a show me season. I know it's hard to say that in the second year, but they need him to step up to be that opposite against DK Metcalf, to take the pressure off DK Metcalf, especially if they're banking on him to be the heir apparent to Lockett. So it's either show and prove. Like if not, then they know, okay, fine, we need to start looking forward to try to get another number 2, because they drafted him for a number 2. They didn't draft him to be a 3.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. All right, let's move on and let's find the Los Angeles Rams. They had a 10-7 record last year, coming off a 5-12 record the year before. Their offense was surprisingly strong, ranked 9th in the NFL as far as scoring, while their defense was 18th ranked as far as points given up. Of course, their coach is Sean McVay. He is 70-45 as the Rams coach. They did change defensive coordinators as Raheem Morris moved on to Atlanta. Chris Shula takes over. Yes, that Shula. Yes, that Shula.
I thought that line was extinct.
It lives on.
Yeah, evidently it does. And they talk about nepotism in the NBA. Where do you think Chris Shula came from?
All right. I'm going to say that on this football podcast because you brought it up. Michael Jordan would never in his life had his son playing on his team. He would have never forced them to draft him, and he would have got him cut if he wasn't going to help him win a championship. Now,
I agree. Michael Jordan would never.
All right, back to football.
Okay.
And coming back is Matthew Stafford, who came off an extremely strong second half. Backing him up is Jimmy G's back in California.
Jimmy G. Wow. You know what? I'm not going to lie. Forget my ignorance. I did not know that the Rams picked up Jimmy G. That's interesting. Go ahead. Wow. Okay.
At running back, Kyren Williams, who came off a monster season last year. Backing him up, his third round selection, Blake Corum. He was the third running back selected in the draft. The wide receivers are the strength, at least the top two. I don't know if I should call him the top one of these two anymore, but Cooper Kupp, coming off a couple of injury seasons, 31-year-old. But remember, he was a superstar, a megastar, the best in the game just a couple of seasons before. Up-and-coming rookie, now second year, Puka Nacua. He set rookie records, 105 receptions, 1,486 yards. He's a monster. The third wide receiver, it's DeMarcus Robinson with Tutu Atwell also there. I don't think either one of them are going to be very relevant, at least as far as fantasy or pin up big numbers. And at tight end, Tyler Higbee is coming off a major knee injury. Right now, it looks like Davis Allen will be their tight end to start the season. All right. I mentioned all the skill players. I will mention one more thing. Aaron Donald is gone. All right, Mike Steph, what do you think about this team?
You know, it's funny because you was going down the roll call of all the skill players, and I'm looking at my trusty old notes, and I'm like, I'm about to be mute for this subject. Because I'm just looking like, I can't do that one. Can't do that one. And then when you went to the defense, I'm like, if you don't shut up. Can you play me something? Okay. Jimmy G was a total shock to me. Like I said, I thought he was in Vegas, living up to his nickname, porn star Jimmy. But evidently he's back in Hollywood. But I will go on the defensive side. Sean McVay. I know I talk about defense. I'll start with Sean McVay, right? But Sean McVay, to me, turned a rebuilding year last year. Because in reality, that's what last year was supposed to be. Last year was supposed to be a rebuilding year. Nobody expected them to get to the playoffs. Nobody expected them to have a winning record. And yet they ended up 10-7. And by a play here, play there, could have got to the divisional round. Because that game against Detroit, the first round, the wild card, was closer than people expected. So, bravo to them. 10-7, nobody expected that, right? Now, you said the subtraction of Aaron Donald due to retirement. Well, they had to replace him by numbers. At least according to my notes, I have at least 5 additions that they're going to attempt to replace Aaron Donald. And nobody can really replace Aaron Donald. They have 3 additions to the secondary. First, Tre'Davious White from the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia. Even though he's coming off 2 injury-plagued seasons, and that's probably why he was available. But listen, Tre'Davious White, when he's healthy, he proved to be a top 10 corner in the league, right? Then you got Darius Williams at the other corner to go along with 2 pivotal draft picks. And these are more along the lines of trying to replicate the production that they're losing from Aaron Donald, which would be Jarrett Verse, edge rusher, that I believe that was their first draft pick. And then their they drafted a defensive tackle, Braden Fisk. And hopefully those two combined with the remainders that they have on the defensive line will try to replicate some type of pressure against the opposing quarterback. So the Rams, do I think they repeat at 10-7? Probably not. But they'll be competitive. They'll be in the hunt if they remain healthy.
All right. So covers.com surprisingly has them at 8.5 wins. It sounds like you're going to go over that 8.5.
Begrudgingly. But yeah, I could see them going over 8. Unless they have, like I said, unless they have a catastrophic injury. Let's say if they lose Stafford for any long period of time, it's a wrap. Perhaps. But then again, Sean McVay is probably one of those coaches that could optimize whatever he can get out of Jimmy G. So the fall off might not be as drastic as we think. So I just kind of talked myself into going over.
We're in lockstep here because I'm also going over with almost the same theory, because there's a lot of things that I originally was figuring I was going under for sure. The loss of Aaron Donald, Kyren Williams had an amazing season, but he's pretty tiny and he's going to be the featured back. I just have problems seeing him stay healthy. And then when you talk about health, Stafford and Cooper Kupp obviously come with issues. Not really talked about much. Puka Nacua was banged up and kept playing pretty much all year, but he kept getting banged up. There's a lot of injury risk here, not to mention that nobody expected them to play as well as they did last year anyway. But the counter that is that I really like everything that they've done here. How they've addressed their problems on defense, it sounds like it should be really good. All the youngsters last year really played well. If they can do it again, then they might be able to duplicate the 10-7. But most importantly, with covers.com putting the over-under at 8.5, when I did not think it would be that low, I'm going to go over. I will say, as far as the fantasy twist here, as I just mentioned, I'm a little concerned about Kyren Williams and Puka Nacua as far as repeating what they did last year. I think both of them will play really well. I just don't know if I'm expecting those numbers from last year to be duplicated. All right, last but certainly not least, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Last year, they were 12-5, took it all the way to the Super Bowl, almost won that thing, of course, finally losing to Kansas City. In 2022, they were 13-4. Their 12-5 record shows on how the scoring went. They were second as far as offensive scoring on the season and ranked fourth as far as the least points giving up. Kyle Shanahan is the coach for the 8th season. He is 72-55 as their coach, 8-4 in the postseason. They do have a new defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen. But what they do not have as far as new is the entire lineup. All of them come back. You have Brock Purdy at quarterback. Backing him up is newly acquired Joshua Dobbs. Christian McCaffrey, of course, the number one fantasy player in all of the NFL, is the star running back, backed up by Elijah Mitchell. As far as their receiving core, it is Deebo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk, and Juwan Jennings, with an addition, first-round draft pick, Ricky Pearsall. And then at tight end is George Kittle. The skill players remain the same. This team remains a lot the same. What do you think about this squad?
I'll say this. Last year to me, Brock Purdy made believers out of most by posting these spectacular numbers in a lot of people's view, the most unspectacular way. Leading the league in passing rating with 113, setting a single season record for yards per pass attempt at 9.6 yards per attempt. But yet he never really, it's almost like anytime he got any type of praise, somebody was quick to smack him down like, he's not that good. He's not that good. And I point to the NFC Championship game. Never mind the fact that Dan Campbell's idiotic decisions or whatever that kind of cost Detroit that game. But Brock Purdy's ability and sense of awareness in moving the pocket and running and actually using his legs was the reason why they won that game. Some players just have that quote unquote winning gene, that clutch gene. Brock Purdy, last 2 years, NFC Championship game, Super Bowl. Like for Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft. Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver extraordinaire, has become one of the key cogs in this passing game because people look at the names Deebo Samuel, George Kittle as the go-to players, but guess who's actually been the most dependable especially over the last season or two? Brandon Ayuk. Who's been the most available? Brandon Ayuk. Now, Ayuk tried to use his availability and his production as leverage for an increase in his wage, increase in his contract, which he actually has a case for, but unfortunately was not granted. So he wanted to trade. Guess what? He's still there. But everybody knows that Christian McCaffrey makes everything possible. And like you said, they're pretty much just running it back, literally, on offense. On defense, there's one particular addition that caught my eye that I'm going to make a point of because, of course, it has a connection with the Jets. Leonard Floyd, a.k.a. the man who knocked Aaron Rodgers out for the season after 4 plays, signed with these San Francisco 49ers. Oh, sure, I just realized something. Signed with the San Francisco 49ers for a 2-year, $20 million contract coming off a 10.5 sack year. You know what the opening Monday Night Football game is? Guess.
Jets Niners?
Yeah, Jets Niners.
He gets to do it again?
Yeah, that I swear, when I say the light bulb just went in my head, I'm like, are you serious? Hold on. They did this on purpose. Now I know why. Now I know why they scheduled this Monday night, first Monday night game with the Jets against the man who cost the Jets their quarterback. With all that being said, San Francisco, they'll be in the hunt again. They'll be in the hunt for the top seed, unless they just totally just say, you know what, Shanahan, we don't believe you. You need more people. So yeah, that's my couple cents on them.
All right. So covers.com has the total at 11.5. Are you going over or under that?
You know what? I'm going under. Very slightly. I could see them being 11-6. I might kick myself, but yeah, why not? Shoot, you said we were 7 out of 8. Yeah, I kind of told myself, but yeah, I was out. Yeah, I was the one. I was the anomaly. Just call me Neo.
Hey, we all can't be perfect. Some of us can. All right. I will go over here, but I am a little bit worried. You kind of hinted at it. One, there's been a couple reports coming out of the 49ers camp. One is that they're going to ease up the load on McCaffrey a little bit, which, by the way, I think they should do for as far as their team health. And the idea that they might throw the ball more, which also ties into the fact that they might pull back from McCaffrey a little bit. I don't like any changes happening on this team. You brought the whole team back. They were phenomenal, at least during the regular season. Just do what you do. The other concern that I have is the fact of Brandon Ayuk not having a contract and Deebo Samuel not having a contract coming up. Both of them could become issues if it really starts to bother them and they start focusing off the field, which, by the way, I'm not criticizing them for, because both of them are due for big bags that will be life-changing. And I can't really blame them for focusing on that a little bit if they do. So those are my two concerns. But generally speaking, this team is locked and loaded to once again make a run at the Super Bowl. All right. Who's winning the division?
I'll say the 49ers. I say the 49ers. But it wouldn't surprise me if the Rams can pull off the upset.
Well, I'm going 49ers. I would say I would be surprised if the Rams do it. All right, Mike Steph. That is it as far as the NFC West. Next up is the South, the North. Well, one of those two. But we are making the trip around the NFC. But that's it for this episode. Please take us out.
Well, once again, I'd like to appreciate each and every one of y'all for making HGF, Hidden Gems Football, the podcast y'all choose to listen to, and the YouTube show y'all choose to view. Like you said, next episode, matter of fact, next week, because we're actually doing things proactively this year. So y'all going to get an episode per week leading up to the beginning of the NFL season. Akron football. So, with all that being said, Hidden Gems Football. It's been a pop. Bye,
folks. Don't choke the chicken.
Get out of here. Yes.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
We need to get access to the 19 PJ, the private jet. We need some access to the corporate card, which got the Visa with the 19M logo.
Well, listen, I'm setting up the 19 Fire Festival soon enough.
Listen, you're not gonna ja rule me. Not gonna ja rule me. Wow. Okay. All right. You know what? This is only the first. This is the first episode of season 3. So I'm gonna let you slide. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna play my position. Shoot, I'm a rebel. Hey yo, I should just bark on you, burn your car on you, cause I'm too much a man to leave a mark on you. You're not even worthy to wear my shoe. Shoot, wear some Shacks. Matter of fact, this is gonna be some slander. With some Starberries.
Hey, this is outrageous.
Listen, and I'm sorry because cut.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. Uh-oh. What?
All right, let's see.
Your video went off? Oh, wow. Well, looks like we have a solo edition of Hidden Gems Football.
Told you I was trying to remember how this thing goes. There it is. That's it. Bam.
There you go. Boom. Unfortunately, Mo's gonna have a little bit more editing to do than we expected, but it'll be all right.